It all started with one sentence. One sentence that cut through the noise, the rehearsed talking points, the polished spin. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, speaking during a quiet moment on a national political program, looked directly at the camera and said, "If taxpayers are footing the bill for designer food and luxury flowers while school budgets are getting slashed, we have a right to ask questions." Her tone? Calm. Her delivery? Sharp. Her intent? Crystal clear. What was supposed to be a dull conversation about government budget oversight suddenly became national news. The host, clearly caught off guard, tried to steer the interview back to neutral ground. "Congresswoman, are you implying that the First Lady?" "I'm not implying," Jasmine interrupted, without blinking. "I'm saying. We've seen the documents. The numbers don't lie. And if the White House wants to deny it, they can, but this isn't new." Silence fell across the studio. The camera stayed locked on Jasmine's face for just a second too long. Then, the director cut to commercial. But the internet? It didn't cut away. It zoomed in. By the time Jasmine walked out of the building, her phone was already buzzing. Notifications. Messages. Calls. Media clips being shared. People reacting. Fast. Her chief of staff, Ava, met her at the curb. "You're trending," she said, holding up her phone. "Some folks are furious. Some are celebrating. But everyone's watching." Jasmine gave a tired smile. "Good. Maybe now they'll pay attention." This wasn't about going viral. Jasmine had spent months on this. Her committee had reviewed documents, filed information requests, and hit stone walls every step of the way. But persistence paid off. They had receipts. Events hosted under the First Lady's name were showing up with massive price tags. Imported decor. Security details for unofficial guests. Extravagant meals at private venues. Nothing technically illegal, but absolutely out of touch. And now it was out in the open. By the time Jasmine returned to her apartment in Washington, D.C., the interview had been viewed more than 2 million times. Cable news was buzzing. Commentators couldn't agree, was this a bold move, or political suicide? Some liberal outlets praised her directness. Others urged caution. The First Lady, after all, had kept a relatively low political profile. But Jasmine didn't care about profile. She cared about the numbers. That night, news segments played her interview again and again. The analysis was endless. "She crossed a line," said one former press secretary. "She didn't lie," countered another. But what mattered wasn't what pundits thought, it was how the people reacted. Budget spreadsheets surfaced on Reddit and Twitter. Viewers started connecting the dots. Event costs. Food invoices. Travel security. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't dramatic. But it was real. And people noticed. Suddenly, average citizens, teachers, small business owners, even teenagers, were debating government expenditures like seasoned policy experts. "Wait, how much did that birthday party cost? They spent more on imported orchids than my school gets for art supplies." Late that night, Jasmine posted a single sentence to her Instagram. "Public money is for the public. If that offends you, ask yourself why." Simple. Bold. Unapologetic. But the real storm was just beginning. The next morning, Jasmine was sipping her second cup of coffee when her office landline rang. Ava picked it up. Congresswoman Crockett's office. There was a pause. Ava's brows knit together. Yes. One moment, please." She looked at Jasmine, unsure. "It's the D.C. Metropolitan Police. They want to speak with you directly." Jasmine blinked. That was unusual. She nodded and took the call. "This is Representative Crockett." The voice on the other end was firm but respectful. "Good morning, ma'am. This is Sergeant DeLuca with the D.C. Metro Police." We received a report late last night involving you. Jasmine's eyes narrowed slightly. A report? Yes. A harassment complaint. Filed by a Mr. Barron Trump. Silence. He alleges your recent televised remarks about his mother caused personal distress and pose a security concern. Jasmine exhaled slowly. You're telling me an 18-year-old filed a police complaint over a public interview? Yes, ma'am. No formal charges, just a logged report due to the complainant's identity. She gave a dry laugh. Understood. You have my response, Sergeant. I've said nothing inappropriate. Have a good day. She hung up. Ava stared at her. That can't be real. Oh, it's real, Jasmine muttered, rubbing her temple. The first son called the cops on me for saying his mom overspends. Within the hour, the story leaked. Breaking, Barron Trump files harassment report against Representative Jasmine Crockett. The conservative news machine roared to life. Talk shows labeled her an extremist. Pundits asked, what kind of adult targets a first lady and gets her son involved? What they conveniently left out. Jasmine had never contacted the family. Never made it personal. They were the ones who made the call. By early afternoon, reporters were stationed outside Jasmine's office. She stepped outside and faced the cameras. Her voice was calm, deliberate. I have never reached out to the Trump family. My comments were about taxpayer-funded expenditures, nothing more. Oversight is not harassment. It's my job. Someone shouted. Are you accusing them of retaliation? I'm stating facts. When someone in office raises concerns backed by evidence, that is accountability, not aggression. Will you apologize? She looked them straight in the eye. No. Behind her, Ava was already preparing a press release. But what Jasmine didn't expect was the groundswell of support that came next. Not just from political allies, but from the people. Group chats, Instagram stories, comment sections. The message was simple. She told the truth, and they called the cops. A grainy video from a staffer at one of the First Lady's events surfaced online. Champagne. Ice sculptures. Glittering decor. Timestamp? One of the same nights flagged in Jasmine's report. TikTok users stitched the footage with school funding statistics and housing reports. But she's the problem, one caption read. This is what they tried to shut down? Ava called from the office. Media requests are coming in non-stop. Podcasts. Late shows. Even a candle shop in Ohio sent a gift basket. Jasmine chuckled. Tell them lavender's my favorite. But the truth was, she was bracing for impact. That evening, Jasmine's phone rang again. This time, it was Charles Drummond, a civil rights attorney from Baltimore. He didn't waste time. You're being targeted. I figured. They're testing you. If you'd panicked, deleted your posts, issued an apology, they'd use it against you. But you didn't. Jasmine sat back. Should I be worried? No, he said. You should be louder. That night, Jasmine filmed a short video. No glam. No edits. If asking about government spending is now harassment, she said. Then we've forgotten what democracy is. She let the silence hang for a moment. Then posted. By morning, it had 4 million views. Celebrities shared it. Veterans reposted it. Teachers, students, social workers, it spread like wildfire. A new hashtag quietly emerged. Hashtag Stand with Crockett. It started in a reply thread, but by noon, it was trending. And yet, the opposition wasn't done. That afternoon, a carefully worded leak from the First Lady's office hit the web. A memo. It painted Jasmine as combative and lacking decorum. Coded language. Obvious intent. They wanted to imply race. Without saying it outright. And once again, the public saw through it. Black women across the country posted videos, referencing generations of being silenced or punished for speaking plainly. Side-by-side clips of Jasmine's interview and historic moments filled social media. Shirley Chisholm, Anita Hill, Michelle Obama. Now, Jasmine Crockett. She wasn't trying to be a hero. She just wanted the truth out. But that truth had become a movement. By the end of the week, her office released a full breakdown. Itemized expense records. Redacted invoices. Proof of zero personal contact with the Trump family. Nothing hidden. No games. A statement followed. There was no call. No message. No campaign to harass. Only accountability. And I won't be intimidated. Charles Drummond watched the press release and muttered to himself. That woman's spine is steel. When a cable news anchor casually asked, "Do Americans really care if the First Lady throws a lavish party?" the comment section answered with brutal clarity, "With our money? Yeah. We care." That night, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett sat quietly in her D.C. apartment, TV on mute, scrolling through her phone. The flood of messages wasn't from political operatives, it was from everyday people. A public school teacher in Arizona. A nurse in Ohio. A retired Marine in Florida. None of them were praising her for political theater. They were thanking her for simply speaking out, plainly, honestly, because they were tired of watching the powerful dodge accountability while basic needs went unmet. One message from a teenage girl in Iowa struck a chord. "I didn't know congresswomen could do that. Thank you for not being scared." Jasmine smiled, but her peace didn't last long. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ava, her chief of staff. "Call me ASAP. You're not going to like this." Jasmine called. Ava's voice was tense. A leaked memo from the First Lady's office just hit a blog. "It's bad. They're trying to frame this as a personal vendetta. And, Jasmine, they're playing the race card, subtly, but it's there." Jasmine didn't flinch. "So that's where we're going now." She paused. Then calmly added, "Time to go even higher." By Saturday morning, her name wasn't just trending. It was part of something larger. A cultural collision. What started as a sharp critique on government waste had become a national conversation about power, race, and who gets to speak without punishment. The memo from the First Lady's office used careful phrases, aggressive tone, undermining traditional institutions, lacking decorum. To the public, the code wasn't subtle. They'd seen it before. And they weren't having it. Social media lit up with historical comparisons. TikTok showed Anita Hill testifying beside clips of Jasmine's interview. Instagram Reels featured Shirley Chisholm's iconic speeches spliced with Jasmine's press conference quotes. A former social worker from Tulsa posted a raw, unedited video. She asked questions. She did her job. And now they're acting like that's a crime? What's the real problem here, what she said, or who said it? That clip alone reached nearly 1 million views in a day. Ava's team doubled overnight. Interns, volunteers, retired staffers, people showed up. A pastor from Sacramento emailed, "Tell Congresswoman Crockett we're praying for her strength. We've got her back." Through all the noise, Jasmine never once played the victim. She didn't need to. Instead, she posted a simple, powerful video, just 14 seconds long. "I was elected to ask questions." That doesn't stop just because someone gets uncomfortable. It spread like wildfire. No flashy editing. No dramatic music. Just truth. Meanwhile, inside the Trump camp, things started to crack. Leaks began surfacing. One political columnist reported that Barron Trump's complaint may have been filed without legal vetting. Another revealed a screenshot from a campaign advisors group chat. "We should have ignored her. This is getting out of hand." Back in Jasmine's apartment, the air was calm but focused. Ava handed her a tablet with new invitations, University of Michigan, Georgetown, and multiple national organizations asking her to headline their events. This wasn't part of the plan, Jasmine said. I know, Ava replied. But you struck a nerve. People are done with polished. They want real. Outside, quiet protests began forming. Handwritten signs read, "Truth isn't harassment. We see you, Jasmine. Questioning power is not equal to a crime." In Philadelphia, a muralist painted Jasmine's face beside her Instagram quote, "Public funds are for the public." The piece was picked up by local news that weekend. Mainstream networks, once hesitant, started adjusting their tone. One season anchor put it bluntly, "We've never seen a first son call the police over a member of Congress asking budget questions." Behind the scenes, the Trump PR team panicked. They stopped mentioning Jasmine's name altogether. Barron Trump was reportedly instructed to disappear from the public eye, no interviews, no statements. But it was too late. The narrative had already escaped their control. Inside the East Wing, Melania Trump stood by her office window, arms crossed. Her staff whispered behind closed doors, scrambling for a response. Her chief of staff hesitated. "We've drafted a statement, but it might make things worse." Melania didn't even turn around. "I told him not to respond." Her voice, tight with frustration. "He thought he was protecting me, from what?" "A question." Silence filled the room. Donors started calling. Senate allies grew uneasy. The real problem wasn't what Jasmine said, it was that she brought receipts. Line item after line item from White House expense reports began going viral. $23,000 for crystal glassware. $137,000 for imported orchids. $9,400 for spa treatments at Mar-a-Lago. $44,000 for scent coordination services. Even conservative commentators started hesitating. Memes began circulating, $17K for gelato? Must be some heavenly scoop. In the midst of it all, Jasmine didn't blink. She didn't chase headlines. She focused on the facts. And the facts kept coming. A watchdog organization released documents showing a luxury event hosted by a European jewelry brand at Mar-a-Lago, fully reimbursed through the office of the First Lady. Ava looked at the file. "This is worse than we thought." Jasmine nodded. "Then we keep going." At this point, it wasn't about Mar-a-Lago. Or a birthday party. Or Barron's 911 call. It was about the playbook of power, and how it reacts when finally held to account. By midweek, it was no longer a political spat. It had become a reckoning. The House Oversight Committee formally announced a special review of all non-essential expenditures tied to the office of the First Lady. Jasmine watched the announcement scroll across the bottom of her muted TV screen. Ava crossed her arms. "You pushed them. Now they have to respond." Jasmine's reply was simple: "They can't pretend this is about feelings anymore." Old budget records resurfaced. Local journalists dug up discrepancies buried in the fine print for years. One found a 2022 invoice for Lamborghini rentals marked VIP event. Another uncovered $19,000 spent on imported soaps, labeled ambience enhancement. Cable news showed side-by-side comparisons of official White House guidelines versus Jasmine's findings. A government spending expert summarized it. "This isn't miscommunication. These are serious misuses of taxpayer dollars." Still, Jasmine stayed above the chaos. Her message never shifted. No petty jabs. Just facts. The public noticed. In Milwaukee, a group of retired postal workers began mailing letters to Congress demanding transparency. They called it the People's Oversight. In Little Rock, students held a campus teach-in on federal ethics. One young speaker ended with Jasmine's quote, "Public money is not private property." Meanwhile, Melania Trump vanished from public appearances. No tweets. No events. No statements. Her silence grew louder by the day. Not everyone stayed quiet, though. Congressman Hal Vernon, a longtime ally of the Trump family, attempted to defend the spending live on air. So what if there were a few parties? That's Washington. TikTok clapped back instantly. So tradition is worth $137,000 in orchids now? Even some conservative viewers voiced discomfort. A Midwest caller to talk radio summed it up. I'm a working mom. If I used my company's money to throw a spa day, I'd be fired. Why is this different? 1 week after the firestorm began, Jasmine Crockett was formally invited to testify in front of the House Oversight Committee. She didn't hesitate. She prepared. Her team worked day and night, reviewing every document, rehearsing responses, preparing for every possible line of attack. This is the moment, Ava told her. Jasmine nodded. Then we make it count. Outside the Capitol, crowds gathered as the hearing began. Signs read. We paid for the party. Where's our invite? Crockett is courage. Inside, Jasmine entered in a simple navy blazer. No jewelry. No distractions. Just the facts. Her opening statement echoed with clarity. My job is not to make the powerful comfortable. It's to tell the truth. That doesn't stop because someone feels exposed. And then came the questions. But even before the first answer finished, the mood had shifted. The tide had turned. And it couldn't be undone.